All right, we are going to get started. Everyone, welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Empowerment discussion. I believe that this is a critical discussion in honor of Mental Health Month. And we're hoping that we can pour into each other during this call and share our expertise. We have expertise in various areas that will help support possibly what you may be going through or empower you to help someone who may be going through some things. Again, we have a panel of experts. We're going to introduce ourselves, what we do, and then we will get started. So I'll kick off. I'm Raquel Washington. I am the CEO of Innovate Learning Solutions. It is a professional development company. I work with corporations and I also work one-on-one with people, everyday people who are just striving to get ahead in their career. So I specialize in career development, helping folks with winning resumes, interviewing skills, and just basically advancing in their career. So I am here to help anyone that may feel that my expertise can help them. We are all offering free consultation after the training, or should I say discussion. So I'll hand it over to Vanita to introduce herself, and we'll go to Indea and then Tanisha, who will kick off today's presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, Raquel, for doing this and herding all these cats, I would say. Again, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so my role here for this is just to briefly talk about mental health, mental wellness, and the importance of it. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. So different states have different, terms. There's LPC, and then you also have licensed clinical social workers, all the different terms. But I am a licensed mental health counselor. I work at a community behavior center. I've been doing this for 10 years. And the things that I have gotten from this is I'm more of a facilitator and empowering people because everyone owes themselves. They owe themselves peace. They owe themselves integrity. They owe themselves value. So as I've been going through this field and working in different aspects of it, and even my career before I became a counselor, that's just been kind of what has kept me sane. That is what kept me from burning out, because I have done that. I just don't see that in my future anymore because I know my triggers. So that's kind of what I'm going to really just kind of hone in on for this session. That's it.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Vanita. Indea?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Indea. I am a family nurse practitioner. I have been a nurse practitioner for over 20 years. 13 years. A nurse for over 20 years. I specialize in family practice. I am owner and operator of Contoured Health and Beauty, which is a alternative medical spa. We specialize in non-invasive body contouring and facial aesthetic services and wellness services. So for the person who has a busy lifestyle, a person who does not want the traditional Botox and fillers, and a person who wants to improve their energy, lose weight, we have the services for that. So I am a natural babe myself. I don't like to do those things. So I attest to everything that is there. I've tried everything, so I can tell you personally if it works or not. So I am here to actually talk about the wellness aspect. So I'm all things wellness. So as a nurse practitioner, I do the traditional medicine, but I know there are alternative means. And in this day and age right now, we need some alternative means of becoming healthy. That traditional healthcare, which is to give you medication, is not always the answer. So I'll be talking about things you can do to improve your wellness.
Thanks, Indea. Tanisha.
Hey, everybody. My name is Tanisha Morgan Brathwaite, MB for short. I'm a real estate associate. I've been in real estate for over 11 years. I spent most of my career kind of behind the scenes managing transactions, coordinating the complex projects, just making sure the deals get closed and everything and running smoothly. But now I'm kind of stepping more into the spotlight and bringing that behind the scenes kind of pizzazz that I have directly to the buyers, sellers, investors, rentals, first time home buyers, and trying to service everyone across New Jersey. Um, Oh, I'm so sorry. So, what I'm going to touch on is how mental health can go into your home buying purchase. It's kind of like it's almost how emotion shapes where you feel. I'm sorry, how emotion shapes where you live. And the emotional toll that may go into the home buying process, the stress factors that can kind of overwhelm you a little bit, and how to navigate all of that. A lot of that would start with meeting and having a consultation with a realtor. We are real estate professionals. We are trained in this. You can ask us questions. You can lean in on us and lay all your burdens down. So if you're looking to buy or sell your home, especially if it's a home that you've been in for over 10 years, there's a lot of emotion that would go into that. So you want to make sure that you are certain. You want to make sure that you're not feeling any pressure, whether it's financial pressure, and sometimes those things will weigh in, but your the real estate professional will be able to help you to manage that stress and kind of guide you who you should talk to, and kind of lay out the piece for you so that you're not feeling that emotional angst that some people may feel, especially when you get to like the millennials or the Gen Zs. They're looking for houses and they're seeing all of these different headlines when they wake up, and they don't know what the mortgage rates are going to be today or if they're going to be able to afford a down payment. So you want to know what those different triggers can be for yourself, and you don't want to end up having mental fatigue. So that's where you lean on us, because we're not only real estate professionals, we often operate in different capacities, such as like a therapist or a project manager or your mortgage lender, your event planner, your everything, pretty much. So lean in on us in during this process. You want to make sure that you're going over the strategy, that your real estate professional is giving you the education that you need. So ask a lot of questions so that you're just able to also plan for the future. Um, and buying your home is equal parts, not just financial decision. It can also be an emotional roller coaster. So you want to make sure that you are not just pulling the trigger because of a need. You want to make sure that you're going into it with a sound mind, um, and that you are going to be comfortable in the living space that you're going to be in. Because not only does that space bring you a a new beginning, a new chapter in your life, but it can also bring you a peace of mind. So you want to make sure that wherever you are, that your peace of mind is always there. And again, if you're ever feeling like you have questions, that you are unsure, that you don't necessarily know where to navigate or what to do, lean into us realtors. That's what we're here for. We are here to ease the burden. And I don't know what anybody else's why is. And sure, yes, a commission looks nice. At the end of the day, we all want to get paid. But my why is to help people get to their next chapter, to help people to figure out what it used to be the American dream. I don't know if it's that anymore, but if your dream and your goal is to attain new property, add to your portfolio, get into that rental, I want to help you achieve that the easiest way possible and the less stress way possible. Um, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Vanita. I believe Vanita.
Before we go to Vanita,
Okay.
because we have a couple of more minutes, even though we're doing a Q&A at the end,
Mhm.
I just wanted to see if anyone had one or two questions for Tanisha right now regarding the home buying process, any fears you may have due to the economy, or just anything that you would like to ask. Please feel free to unmute. We do have an opportunity because we have a couple of minutes left in Tanisha's presentation. We can get to one or two questions in. You may be on mute. Okay. Well, think about any questions you have as we open up at the end. But again, Indea, Tanisha, and Vanita, we're all here to help you. Now, Vanita is not only a mental health counselor, but she also specializes in real estate. So you have two experts here on the line. So we'll hand it over to you, Vanita.
Okay. So, hi again, everyone. Raquel saying that I'm also a realtor and a therapist. I'm going to kind of go with that, with knowing yourself. So I fell into real estate, like literally fell into it. Somebody that I trusted said, "Hey, you're going to be a realtor." And I said, "No, I'm not." And they signed me up for the course. I'm thankful that they did, because even as Tanisha was talking, you notice she was using the words basically of service, of service, of service. It's all service. So it actually aligns. I'm part-time with the real estate, but I love it. And I only kind of work with people. Well, I'm sure Tanisha does too, but I only work with people like personal referrals and everything like that. Not to say I don't work with some that I don't. Anyway, let me stay focused. So it's all about service. It's all about service. And it also goes about, when Tanisha was saying toxicity, it's also Maslow hierarchy of needs, right? A home is not a luxury. A safe space is not a luxury. So that's how I'm going to get into triggers and knowing your triggers. Knowing your triggers is your responsibility. I'm just going to be very frank. I'm a solution focused therapist. I also, CBT is my thing, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's where I lean into, and I lean into that because that's who I am naturally. So I do have the training, I do have the experience, but it also aligns with who I am. And I also share that with my clients, because my clients, I tell them, this is your safe space when you come in here. You know what works for you. Trust your gut. If you're not comfortable with the person that is your counselor, therapist, whatever, use your voice. If you don't feel comfortable using your voice, then use that person's supervisor voice. But when you're in counseling, when you take that time to do that for yourself, it has to be a safe space. It has to be with someone that you feel comfortable with, because you don't know what you don't know. And I think everyone, just like even with the home buying, even with starting a business, even with what, Indea does, you think and we all go into these things with, we think we know, and then you get into it and it's not like that. With counseling, you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to be thinking, I'm good, and then things are going to come up. You're still going to be good, but things are going to come up, right? And we want you to be not only surviving, but thriving. So for me, again, I look at now, as I'm getting to a certain point in my career and a certain age. I'm 53. I love what I do. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, but I tell my clients, you will not burn me out. You will not have me sitting in a corner sucking my thumb, rocking. And I say that because vicarious trauma is real. Vicarious trauma is real. There's some days where I'm in my office, I will literally pull out my mat, put my head on the floor and just cry, or I'll pray, or I'll play music, or I'll get some tea. I'm going to do that so that I can be present for my clients, for my family, and for myself. So again, back to knowing your triggers. We're in a world now where everyone is triggered. Everyone is triggered. It's kind of annoying to me, because you owe you. And Eric Thomas wrote that book. If you're into, Eric Thomas is amazing. I'm sure you've heard of him, motivational speaker. He has a book called You Owe You. You should know your triggers, because the world is only going to do more world stuff. The world is only going to get more busy. The world is only going to get more loud. It's just what the world is going to do. So you know your triggers, because you can only control you. You can only control you. I work with a lot of clients that suffer from anxiety, depression. And then along with that, you have the coping skills that people use. Drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, gambling. They're all coping skills, even working all the time. I'm sure some of us on here be like, don't be talking about me. But yes, working a lot is better than crack cocaine, but still, it's still a coping mechanism that we have to be aware of. So know your triggers so that you can prepare yourself, so that you can take care of yourself, so that certain things that you have to do, you can go there and be fully present. I always kind of tell people there's feelings and there's emotion, right? And because I work with a lot of young adults, and again, I am who I am, I tell people feelings are feelings. Emotions are better than feelings. And I just kind of break it down so people can get it, because sometimes feelings, we let them drive us. So emotions, I want emotions are the gooder ones, right? This is what emotions are good. Emotions are good. But feelings are also not bad. But when you let the feeling be the boss of you, when you let that feelings lead you all over, then there's a problem. So let's work on just being aware of our emotions. And again, knowing your triggers. For our men, what do you all think the go-to emotion and or feeling is?
So it looks like we have one man on here. So Jack, I'm going to put you on the spot. Thanks for joining. I need you to represent for the men. Jack, I need you to turn on your camera and I need you to help us by responding to Vanita's question.
I'm sorry, I just joined, so I didn't catch the question.
Okay, Vanita, can you ask the question?
Hi, Jack. What do you think is the go-to emotion or feeling for men?
The go-to emotion.
When you're triggered.
Or a trigger.
When you're triggered, what is the emotion that you go to first? Is it the feeling that you have or the emotion? Can you elaborate and tell us where you go?
That's a tricky question. I think it would be the feeling.
So I probably should have said, men typically, not all, of course, because I'm never going to generalize, but it's anger. It's anger. But anger, so I have this in my office, and I always have my clients hold it when we're talking about emotions and feelings. So there's anger, but it also covers hurt, threatened, hateful, mad, aggressive, frustrated, distant, and critical. And so a lot of times I just have my clients hold this and have them look at it because there's underlying, right? And when I'm angry.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. That's why I said feeling. I think anger is what gets most men, and a lot of men are taught to hold that anger in, but as they get older, or I know for me myself, as I have gotten older, I start to release more and not keep it in more now. So I'll let if I'm getting angry, I'll let whatever it is to cause that's getting me angry, I'll talk about it or I'll get it out in the opening now. But I am 41 now, but the younger me will hold that in and that anger will just build up and build up and build up.
Thank you for sharing that. And that is why I have really been focused on knowing your triggers. We also have a shortage of, I think, all the medical professionals, right? I'm sure a lot of you can attest to that. We are just short. So people have to be more proactive about their health, their whole health, their financial health, where they stay, their physical health, their mental health, their emotional. Like, you have to understand that you don't need anybody's permission to take care of you. And there's different ways. And that's why I love that, we're doing this. There's different ways to take care of you because we're all individual. But we have to start having those conversations, and Jack, you segue into something that men, right? The suicide rate among men is growing. It is growing. And I think those numbers are actually underreported because a lot of men, a lot of young men especially, they're doing what passive suicide. These are the ones where they call we're on demon time. Right? Unfortunately, you definitely have the drugs and the alcohol, the extreme reckless behavior. Our suicide rates are rising. And it's not going to get any better unless some of us start to do certain things. Have any of you ever heard of QPR? Okay. No. Hi, Manika. Hi. So QPR is, how many of you have heard of CPR? Yeah. So QPR is question, persuade, and refer. Thank you, Manika. So yeah, Manika has heard of it, probably because she's also a licensed clinical social worker. But the same way we all know about CPR, one of my goals is to start talking more about QPR. Sad to say, I actually, and again, just learned about it myself about 2 weeks ago. QPR is what we want to use for question, persuade, and refer for people with suicidal ideation, past suicide attempts. We have to start knowing that we don't need anyone's permission, that it does take a village. There was actually a funeral today for a young 23-year-old. He jumped into the canal here where I'm at. There's been so many other cases, and people don't know how to have that conversation, and I think sometimes we overthink things. And by the same token, people like CPR. I've done CPR 3 times. Was I planning on it? Did I want to? No. Did I want somebody else to jump up? You just do it. So I can say, as somebody that has done that, you just do it. QPR, question, persuade, and refer. I'm not trained. What if I ask a question when they start thinking about it? No. If you even have the question that someone is suicidal, and I'm sure others can attest to this, once you ask them, and I've been there, done that. I was in the military for 30 years also, so that's where a lot of my experience comes from. It's like a relief when you ask them, hey, are you having thoughts of suicide? Well, I don't know, is this a thought of suicide? Right? Don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared that if I ask, I'm not going to put the idea in someone's head, And I remember I used to say that, and one of my supervisors says, and I received it, somebody with suicidal thoughts, you can't put that in your head. You're not that important. They have something that is so greater that you thinking that you put that in your head is silly. And she was right. When I thought about it, it was like, they're going through something that to them is devastating. So ask the question. Persuade them to talk to you if they don't feel comfortable talking to you. And if you also don't feel that maybe I'm not close enough to that person, go to somebody that they feel comfortable with, that is also a person of integrity and respect. You don't want to go to somebody that is just drama filled, right? Hey, do you think so-and-so might be? Do that. And then refer. I know we're all from a lot of different places, but there's crisis lines. There are so many crisis lines. You can probably just Google them. There's some for vets. There's some for first responders. There's some for LGBTQ, which the numbers are very high. There's numbers. Refer. My clients know that if I answer, you're going to have the people in all black come to my house because they're dramatic. No, but I'm going to do what I need to do, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't need your permission once you come here. I don't need your permission to care I don't need your permission to help you because right now, maybe you can't. Your brain is tired, your heart is hurting. So maybe you can't. So I don't mind stepping in and doing that. So again, QPR, question, persuade, and refer. Question, persuade, and refer. Question, persuade, and refer. Back to our LGBTQ one, the numbers are so high. The numbers are so high. And I am not here to say it's right or wrong. It's so not my business. And it just isn't. It's not my business when it means someone is going to take their life because they feel alone in this world. That is not my business. And I do have some clients that have been thrown out of their families. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure 3 in my family that don't live around family because they can't be who they are. That distresses me because in this day and age, if we don't know the value of community after all that has been happening in the past 10 years, I don't know what else would tell us how important that is. So just to sum it up, know your triggers, sit still and really figure out what works for you. Talk to somebody that you trust. If you need a professional help, please do it. There are so many ways to do it. I know for where I work, there's a waiting list. Stay the course. And there's a waiting list because we have a shortage. There's a waiting list, but stay the course. It's probably about 3 months. And typically when you go to a community counseling center, you have to do an intake. So here you come and see me, you do an intake, where I sit down, talk to you, get some basic questions. And it's 2 sessions, and then they link you up with a provider. Not everybody needs to be linked up with a provider for medication. I am definitely not that person to be like, you need this, and you need this, and you need this, because it doesn't go with me personally either. But I'm also not the one that was like, just pray about it, put some holy oil on somebody's forehead. So I just had that conversation. I explained it to, especially our people, let's be real. I explained to our people, I just need you to get to the mound so you can be present and hit, because if you've been suffering for years, we can do what we do, but maybe you can try this. And if you're concerned about the side effects, well, what can we do to be proactive about those possible side effects? Can we go walking? Can we actually drink some water? There you go with the what can we do? Can we make sure we check your levels? What can we do just to give yourself a chance? We don't have to always muddle through and normalize being in pain and being in distress. I am so over that. So again, thank you. I think I'm done, Raquel. Thank you.
Yeah, that was powerful. Hearing from both of you and Tanisha really is hitting home, and I hope it's hitting home for those who are joining. Please write in the chat so far. Is this helping at all in any way? Let us know your thoughts. In the meantime, we do have one question for you, Vanita, from Jack. Do you see social media as being a big part of suicide attempts?
I do see social media as maybe a factor, another factor that we didn't have obviously before, for many of us. I do see it being a factor. I do think that there's an addiction to social media, and we know adults that won't get off of it. So can you imagine a child that still doesn't have the frontal fully formed, right? It's not closed up. It's not closed up. So they can so they're not able to process things that we adults, right, are supposed to. So when there's no limits, when you have the world telling you, you should be this, you should look like this, your hair should be like this, you should dance like this, you should be shaped like an ant, you should be, you should, right? And no one else is actually pouring into you. Okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So I do think it's a factor. I also think it's a tool that can be used for kids, right, that may not have anyone or may not be safe or may be in a home life situation that is very ugly. So I am very direct with parents, I need you to be a parent, and I can say I'm 53 and my mother, I remember my sister was in the military. And so my mother wanted to go she and her husband were deployed. She wanted to go take care of the three girls. And my mother is a G, 17, 16, and 13, teenage girls. So my mother is also old school. Her house phone did not ring after 9 p.m. So she would tell the girls, bring me your phones every night at 9 p.m. Well, the 13-year-old decided to let her know, you're just a nanny and my parents pay for this phone. Did not end well for her. Literally, I had to go to South Carolina from Indiana because I was deployed to get her. So, so it didn't. But parents have to be parents. The world is going to do what it's going to do. And so to me, it's common sense. My phone is in the living room at night because I don't have the discipline not to be like, ooh, let me go buy some shoes or something. Parents, take your damn kid's phone.
I hear that. I totally agree.
To do it, right?
Absolutely.
Let's do certain things. Let's help them help themselves. So I think social media is a tool. I know for some of the young adults that I see here that are suicidal, that's also been people that have saved them, right? Because those are the only friends they have. So they'll share. And then those friends that go, how they find out where they at, they do the IP thing, and they like, so, but it's a tool. And it's up to parents, and not just parents, it's up to aunties, it's up to uncles, it's up to grandparents to limit it.
Absolutely. Thank you
I would
for
definitely
that.
tap in here and say, in terms of real estate, when it comes to social media, the way that it is putting pressure, especially on ages 30 and younger, and misinformation, I feel like they get very deflated when they then learn, oh, wait, so I'm not able to do this, or I can do this, but I saw that X, Y, and Z did this. How come I can't do this? So then they then will go into their mind and say, okay, well, I see them moving this way. Why can't I do the same thing? And then you get into your own head and you start going down a rabbit hole. So I feel like social media just spreads so much misinformation that it then becomes harder for us to kind of reel them back in, us as realtors, reel them back into reality, because they have this expectation up here. And we're like, okay, you kind of had like a beer money and you're looking at champagne dreams. So let's reel you in a little bit.
That is
Everybody
absolutely
individual.
true. There's a lot of misleading as it pertains to real estate on social media. I've even heard a lot of people being discouraged from millionaires and billionaires saying home ownership is not the way to go.
Right.
Don't buy a home.
Meanwhile, they're
mind,
buying up
the
everything.
only thing I dreamed of growing up is, the pride of home ownership. And I wondered why. And it's because a lot of the millionaires and billionaires, they want to own the homes and they need more renters.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot of misleading information out there. So if you have any questions or just concerns, or if you're in a situation yourself, we have Tanisha here and also Benita that can help you. And we'll share both of their information at the end. But this is a holistic discussion regarding mind, body, and soul. And with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Indea to talk about health and wellness.
Well, thank you, ladies, for having me here again. You guys all hit on some very valuable points and almost stole my touching points here. But definitely social media is definitely going to play a role in just health, wellness, just the whole realm of just life. So the things that I want to touch on, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just here to explain to you exactly what you can do to improve your health and wellness, because actually health is wealth. You hear that little acronym, you hear that little saying, and you just think, it's just, people just say it. But remember, you only have one body. You only have one life. So you need to do the things to actually take care of yourself. So again, I'm a family nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse practitioner for over 13 years. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. So I have a little experience with caring for people in the traditional health setting where I prescribe medications. You have a symptom, we give you a med. You have chronic conditions, we treat it through medication. But that's not always the answer. So there's other things that you can do. And you'll always hear when you go to the doctor the same three pillars. You need to get better sleep, you need to diet, and you need to exercise. So yeah, we hear that all the time, but what does that really mean? So the main thing would be we want to make sure that you are in tune to your own body. You are your own, you have to actually advocate for yourself. So when you go to the doctor and you tell them something, and sometimes they don't believe you, honestly, I would be pissed. I would I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably left the doctor's office pissed, like they're not listening to me. They don't, they're not paying me any attention. But you have to be your own advocate. If you're not getting the response that you think that you should, do your research, get a second opinion. But there's things that you can do at home to actually prevent you from actually getting a disease or getting sick. So one of the main things would be move your body. So they tell you the traditional thing, 30 minutes of high intensity exercise. What does that mean? That means that you need to get your heart rate up above the normal range, and you can calculate that. There's calculators, we all have phones. You just Google it and you can see what your heart rate should be. But there's people out there that can't really do that vigorous exercise, and that's fine, but you just need to move. So whether that is getting you some broomsticks and moving your arms, whether that is getting a milk jug and lifting it, like you don't need all those fancy things. I can attest. I was like, I'm not working out because I don't have the right clothes. My outfit doesn't match today. I don't feel good. Oh, I don't have that proper weight, so I don't want to do it. Right. But COVID showed us that people are in their houses. We couldn't even find any exercise machines. So where are all these healthy people? Because there's a lot of obesity in all of our states. So what were people doing? It was just that fad. People just wanted to exercise. People just wanted to buy up the things. And I'm pretty sure this stuff has dust on it right now. So we need to actually dust them off and get busy. So you really need to move your body. So whatever that is for you, walking your dog, just going for a stroll, getting in a pool. If you have a pool, doing some exercise. If you have some issues with your knees, it's very helpful to get into the pool. Walk in the mall. We all like to window shop. So walk the mall. So it's not just for those old people. You can walk the mall and get some exercise. So you want to do things to move your body. And that's something you want to do every single day. So we all have our watches. Get in competition with yourself. Look at how many steps you get in a day. Try to top that every day. So you hear 10,000 steps, 20,000 steps. You don't necessarily have to get that, but you need to move your body. So it needs to be you against you. So you see social media, like Vanita said, you'll get those models, you'll get those girls and those guys that are just showing off their muscles and things like that. But you don't know if they went and got surgery. You don't really know what they're doing. You just see the good part of it. Sometimes you'll see their before pictures, and then you'll think, wow, I look like that right now. So what are you doing? So you tune in. So guess what? While you're watching those videos, get on that treadmill. Go for a walk. Put your headphones in. We have to multitask. We'll multitask and do things when you're at work. You're ordering dinner, you're shopping, you're doing all those things while you're at work. So when you're at home, you can multitask as well. But it's a time and place for that as well. So self-care is going to be very important. So you're going to get your exercise and you have to be in tune with your feelings and your emotions. So Vanita said that the emotions are a lot higher. We want to have better emotions and our feelings, because no one can tell you how to feel, but our feelings really play a role. And the way you exercise, the way you move your body, the way you eat, and the way you sleep play a big role in how you feel or how you feel or what your emotions actually are. So if you don't get any sleep, then you're angry, you're grouchy, and that will that Vanita had, will kind of show you some of those other symptoms that will lead to you feeling that way. So it's important that you do those things. So again, we're not reinventing the wheel. You need to eat better, sleep better, and move your body. So in for sleeping, okay, we hear the traditional 8 hours of sleep. I probably get about 4, which is not good. So you want to make sure that you're getting sound sleep. So whether that is, like we all were just saying, put that phone in the living room, turn that ringer off, because that blue light from your phone keeps you woke. You hear all those alerts. You want to know what's going on. I can tell you, I'm sitting here now, my ring is going off because everybody in my neighborhood is wondering whose dog that is, whose cat is that, why is the sirens going off? And my watch is dead before I even, before my day is over because I get so many of those alerts from my ring. And I want to know, like, okay, well, whose dog is that? Whose cat is that? Then you get to those little videos that go on and you see those little funny little memes and things like that. And next thing you know, 30 minutes have gone away. So you got to be really conscious of that because there's things that you need to be doing so that, you're not hooked into all of that social media and getting drawn into all of that. So yes, it's a time and place for that, but you have to make sure that you're being in home to yourself and what you're doing and what you need for yourself. So we're going to be sleeping better. We're going to get some type of sleep routine. That's going to be important. So whether that is you're showering at night, you get you a nice warm cup of tea, a little hot toddy, whatever it is that you get. Watch your nice little show. And then you want to kind of tone things down so that you can actually get a more restful sleep. So tune out the noise, put on the music that kind of helps set the mood so that you can sleep. I mean, we can set the mood and then go to sleep. But you want to make sure that you do things that's gonna get you ready for bed because it's important that you get enough sleep. Because if you wake up and you don't have enough sleep, then you're grouchy. You're running around the house, you can't find what you're looking for, and then you're late, and then you get to work and somebody says something to you, and then you never know, you might lose your job. You know, or you're speeding and you get pulled over by the police, and you might say something wrong. So we don't want to get involved in all of that. So, you can do things to kind of combat that. So taking care of yourself is going to be very important. So as far as your nutrition goes, of course, we hear low carbs, high in protein, increase your vegetables. But guess what? You need carbs for energy. So when you go and do those fat diets where you're like, I'm doing no carbs for the whole entire week. Okay, you might have lost about 5 pounds, but guess what? Next week, you're going to pick that weight right back up because it's not realistic. Like, who's going to really walk around and not eat any carbs? Carbs is in just about everything. So you just have to be conscious of it. Really start looking at your portion sizes. When I saw the amount of rice a serving was, I said, well, who's going to eat that? I need about 2 or 3 of those. That's not enough, but that's an actual portion size. So when you get mindful with that, you'll start to look and see why America is so fat. So again, it has to be realistic. So we're not saying no carbs. We're not saying all the protein because protein can be a little constipating as well. So you just have to make it something that you can continuously do because now we have those weight loss medications and they definitely do work. But again, some people think that they use it for cosmetic purposes. They want to lose maybe 10 or 15 pounds. So they go and take these medications, they lose the weight, and then they go off the medications and they gain the weight right back. So they don't understand why, because they did it for a little fad, just to lose the 10, 15 pounds, and they're not using it the way that it's intended to be. So it's more of a behavioral thing. So obesity is a behavioral thing. It's more of, it's all with the brain chemistry. So you're going to eat, you have a lot of hunger, you're snacking, you're craving, and you're just in that routine that when you're upset, you eat. When you're watching TV, you eat. You go out and have a good time. We're going out to eat. So we're surrounded by food. So try to get in that mechanism, that thought process of a cheat meal, not a cheat day. So if you start to look at it that way, you're not depriving yourself of anything. You still enjoy the things that you like, but in moderation. That's what your doctors are telling you. Moderation means, you know what? When you have that bag of chips and you're watching your favorite show, you probably should portion size it. So put in a little baggie, put that chip bag back in the cabinet so that when you're done with that little baggie, you have to think to yourself, do I really want to get up and go get another portion of chips? I'm really going to go and get them chips. Or that ice cream that's down in the basement. I'm really going to go down there and get the ice cream. Now, granted, I'm going to go get that ice cream sometimes. I'm not even going to lie about it. But you will think about it. You will be more conscious of it. Like, you know what? I really don't need it. And when they say drink the water right after you eat, wait 30 minutes, that's really allowing time for your stomach and your brain to kind of connect to say, you know what? I'm full. Sometimes we will tend to overeat because we're eating in that 30-minute window where they're saying to allow yourself to digest your food and things like that. So it's important that you are more in tune to your body. So that's your sleep, that's your nutrition, and that's moving your body. Now, I'm sure we all have these nice designer bags and these shoes and the cars, and we do our research and we know when those shoes are coming out. We know exactly where we need to go to get that bag. And then that car, we know how much of that car payment is going to be. So, all that research you do for all those finer things in life, you need to do the same thing for yourself. Because again, you have one body, one life. So, it's very important that you put that same effort into what you're doing daily, into the same thing that you would do for all those other fancy things. You would do the same thing for yourself so that you're taking care of your body. Because when you're sick, you won't be wearing those nice shoes, or, you know, you won't be worried about those nice shoes. So we don't want to waste our time, and not using any time to take care of ourselves. So mental health is very important. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's very important to bring awareness to just yourself. It's not about other people all the time. It's about you, because your thoughts can cause you to feel certain kinds of way, so you're feeling sad, you're feeling angry, you're feeling disgusted, and that could be an inward thing. So you just have to take some time, slow down, think about, what you're doing, where you are in life, what you want to do, and then you make changes for yourself. You can't depend on anyone else to bring you happiness, because when they're not around, then does that mean you're unhappy all the time? And is that the life that you want to live? So your feelings definitely play a role, because if you don't feel good, you're not going to get up and move. So what are some things that you can do to make yourself feel good? So at my business, we basically have non-invasive things. So we offer wellness services, alternative things. So things like what you typically would know, like vitamin B12. Most people know what vitamin B12 is. So that's something that you can actually take that can actually increase your energy, improve your sleep, and improve your mood. It's something that your body will use what it needs, and then you pee out the rest. So you can do that through oral supplements. So that's the vitamin B12 supplements, or you can get an injection. So look for alternative means. Some people will say, I don't like shots or injections. I don't like pills. So you find a happy medium. There's sprays, there's patches, there's creams, there's all different types of things. So become more knowledgeable about what's out there. Because there's an app called Yuka. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of that app, YUCA, I believe it is. And it tells you to scan the different things around your home. So the cosmetics, your food, if you scan it, it will tell you how healthy those foods are. You'll be really disappointed. I scanned a bunch of things in my cabinet, and I probably should have threw it all away. Because in different countries, different states, the food that we get is banned. So why is it okay here and it's not okay in overseas? So just become more knowledgeable of it. And they always say if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't eat it. So those are just the preservatives that they're actually putting in these foods to kind of give them a higher shelf life, a longer shelf life. So just be conscious of it. We're not saying be food critics and, just kind of just become, just be really engulfed in what's going on, but just be a little bit more mindful. We were listening to our coach, Donnie, and she said she loved the Girl Scout cookies. And when she scanned and found out that just about all the Girl Scout cookies had some form of carcinogen in it, meaning they were precancerous, she was like amazed. So just little tidbits of that will kind of tell you like some of these foods we probably shouldn't be eating, or in limitation, so you want to limit them, because a good old bag of Doritos, but it'd be like that red dye that they tell you that you're not supposed to eat. That nice big, when you crack that Pepsi open, you like, yes, or that Coca-Cola. But we all heard that commercial where they say, if you pour a Coca-Cola on like some rust or, on some metal, it'll rust it and things like that. So what do you think it's doing to your body on the inside? So you just got to be more mindful of that. Be proactive. Take care of yourself. It's very important to actually do that. Take time to think, take some time to be still, and then just kind of learn yourself. Now is the time to kind of learn yourself. You are going to be the one to make yourself happy. Again, you can't depend on anyone else to make you happy, and you can't depend on anyone else to make you healthy. So it's your job, it's your body. You can do what you need to do to take care of yourself. You don't need those fat diets. You don't need that fancy equipment. You don't need those shiny little trinkets. Just get out and move, explore the world, breathe in the nice outside air. It's getting warm now. Listen to the birds chirp. Those things kind of will help improve your mood, and it'll kind of get you going and moving. So just get moving. That's going to be very important. Get moving. Any questions?
Whoa, I'm going to go through my cabinet later on and throw away a lot of stuff. As Vanita mentioned, her whole cabinet was trash. So there will be a lot of food being thrown away after this. Oh my goodness. This is extra motivation. And hearing all of this, I see we have a lot of agreement. I believe Christina definitely could relate to a lot of what you were saying, Christina. I'm just going to throw it out there. Do you have any questions for Indea? Feel free to unmute. Okay, so maybe not right now, but we are
I had a
going.
question about. I had a question. You said that B12. You give the shots. How does that work?
Yeah, so I have vitamin B12. So it does come in injections. If you've ever gone to the doctor and they've checked your blood levels, and sometimes they'll say you have a low vitamin B12 or a low vitamin D. So vitamin B is one of the water-soluble vitamins, which means your body uses what it needs and then you pee out the rest. So it doesn't build up a toxicity. So that's something you can take over time, for a longer period of time, opposed to like vitamin D, which you need like a blood level. You really don't want to get those injections unless you know your levels. So what the purpose of taking the vitamin B12 opposed to the injection versus the pill is that when you take the pill, it goes through what they call the first pass. And what that means is that when you ingest it, your stomach breaks down, the acid in your stomach breaks down about 50 to 90% of the medication. So that means that you only get about 10 to 40% absorbed into your bloodstream. As far as with the injection, the plus side with that is that your body gets all of it. It gets 100% of it. It absorbs right into the cells and you get to use it. So most people who get the vitamin B12 injection will notice an improvement in their sleep, their mood, their energy. So so it does give some improvement in reference to that. Now, of course, there's side effects with all things. Of course, the bad part of it would be that it's an injection, but it's very short-lived. If you get a good injector, then you won't even know that you got the injection. Um, if you do too much, and it can be both orally or in an injection, you can get acne sometimes, that you can get that. But the side effects are very low. It's a low instance of actually getting those side effects if you take the medication correctly, as far as the injection. The pill, again, because you're only getting from 10 to 40% of it, that's why people have to take it every single day. Depends on the dose of the injection, but you can get that weekly or you can get it monthly. The levels do stay elevated anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, so you get a longer lasting effect from the injection.
Oh, we do have a comment from Christine, and she did mention that the injection doesn't really hurt too much. She gets it once a month, and it's an energy enhancement. So that's definitely validating everything you're saying. And I actually feel like I would want to try the injection. Is that something that your service, do you offer that service? And
Yes, yes.
where are
So
you
we do offer
located, Zendaya?
the vitamin B12.
Name
We're
of
in
your
Amherst.
company. Mhm.
Yeah, we're in Amherst, New York. So right in Buffalo, basically. So we offer the B12 injections, but even, in different places, different states, most of the medical spas or wellness centers will offer a traditional vitamin B12 injection. Really low cost, something that you can actually get. And again, it kind of stays elevated in your system for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. It's really good for people who've had any type of gastric surgery, so any stomach surgeries, bypass surgery, you have acid reflux or GERD, any type of stomach issues where you have issues with absorbing, nutrients and things like that, because your body won't be able to absorb the vitamin B12 that you actually eat. So the injection would be the ideal method for you to actually get that vitamin.
Great to know. And as you talked about vitamin D, I do recall seeing something where it said that a lot of Black and brown women, or it may have said people, lack vitamin
Mhm.
D, and there has been a link to cancer, being more prone to cancer. Is that the case? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, they do a lot of research studies, and typically what happens with the Black and brown community is that we tend to stay out of the sun. We don't want to get crispy. We don't want to get, too dark or it's too hot. So we stay out of the sun. So your body will naturally absorb the vitamin D from the sun. But if you live in New York like I do, you don't see much sun. We have very limited amount of time that you're in the sun. So when you're in the sun, our hot days are like super hot. It's like we call our seasons like bipolar here because one day it could be 70 degrees and then the next day it can be snowing. So when you're in environments like that, then you may have a limited amount of vitamin D that you can get from the sun. So sometimes you have to supplement it. And then when you have those low vitamin levels, sometimes you can get cell turnover, meaning the cells in your body will start to turn over and it can become cancerous. And sometimes it'll be environmental. So the environment, if you ingest certain things or you smoke, things like that, that can cause cancer. It's a multitude of things that can cause the cancer in a body. So, it's just important just to be aware of those nutrients because just if you're really low in those levels, it can definitely change your mood. Can change your mood, change how you feel, because the vitamin D is very important for bone health. So you start to get achy, very achy, weak. So it's important to just be aware of your vitamins. And typically they will do a panel during your annual physicals. So it's important to get your annual physicals as well.
Great information. Wow, very powerful. All right. So love yourself. Do the right thing for yourself. You only have one life to live, and you need to be living a fulfilling life. So thank you, Indea. And the final piece before we open it up to questions is a question to you. Are you living a fulfilling life? And we want to talk about your career, what you do every day, where you spend most of your time, your job. You spend more time at work than you do at home with family and friends. And having a fulfilling career is critical to your well-being. So let's talk a little bit about, the next 10 minutes on career fulfillment. We talked about pride of home ownership and not fearing, what's happening in this economy and being misled and not having any fear about just moving forward in life as far as home buying, staying on top of your mental health and just your wellness overall. But career and where you spend most of your time does play a part in this. We're looking at mental health in a holistic way. So I want you to really think about what your passion is and what really drives you. Because if you're not in a career that you're passionate about and you're spending most of your time there every day, that can definitely lead to a breakdown in your mental health. Your passion drives you, it motivates you, and it's also linked to your mental wellness and satisfaction. So, thinking about your activities and what energizes you naturally or your interests, what are they? What are some things that you are naturally energized by that may not be related to your job, or what captivates your interest? I would like everyone to just throw that in the chat really quickly.
So we have a roller skating as a activity and then vacationing and traveling.
Oh, I love vacationing and traveling. Wow. Roller skating, that's nice. Okay. So vacationing, traveling, roller skating, doing those fun things, those are the things that excite you. We want you to focus more on what excites you and what energizes you because that's critical to mental health. And also identifying what that passion is because you want to avoid being burnt out. Now we have mental health professionals on here. I have my aunt Alicia on here, who's also a mental health professional. And there are quite a few here on the panel. And burnout is real. Stress is real. And when you are going to a job every day or have the Sunday blues, praying that your alarm doesn't go off early on Monday mornings, That could be a sign that you're dissatisfied with your job, and that can lead to stress, lack of motivation, because you're not aligned. Your purpose and what you do are not aligned. So it's important to reflect and evaluate your daily task against your personal values and identify where there's a mismatch. Is it worth it? Now, I'm on here. I don't want everyone to just quit their job tomorrow because you actually may be in a fulfilling job. But I found myself in a situation where I started getting headaches, migraine headaches, before I had to walk into the office. It was just not the environment for me. It was a draining environment, and it really took a toll on my mental health. And, decisions had to be made, and it wasn't worth it. I have to show up for my daughter. I have to come home and show up for my daughter. And I found myself coming home drained, and there was nothing more to give. I would go through the motion. How was your day at school? How's everything? But I wasn't fully there because mentally I was drained. So these are the things you need to think about when you think about mental health. It's not just the physical, it's not just emotional, it's all of the above, because mental and emotional does play a part in um, having an unfulfilling career. So we want you to assess your emotional responses, signs that you may be going through potential stress is exhaustion emotionally, boredom, signs during work, and just, really just finding yourself stressed out and having headaches. So you want to pay attention to that. And again, you want to make sure that you're doing something that you're passionate about. I'm looking at this guy here in this animation, and sometimes people are stuck right where they are. Right now, I don't know whether he's walking, and if he is walking, is he going to work doing the day-to-day routine, not fulfilling, or is he going to go to the path to the left towards his passion? Where are you on this road? Are you doing a day-to-day job where you're not passionate and you're coming home stressed? Or are you focusing on a fulfilling role where you're just thriving? Identify where you are and determine where you want to be. And if you feel like you're passionate about something, but you may not have all the skills and knowledge that you need, it's okay. Create a plan and come up with some action steps to get the training you need, refine your skills, think about what you're strong at and where your strengths are, and also the areas that you need to develop. Maybe you want to develop your knowledge in event planning. You can read books. You can even watch podcasts. Podcasts now are very educational, depending on who you're watching. You can speak to other event planners and see if you can job shadow them. But you need to start striving towards refining your skills and knowledge. You don't ever want to be left behind. You want to stay relevant. Explore passion projects. If you don't want to quit your day job, and it's okay, but then you have other hobbies that you're interested in, develop experience in that area. Build your confidence gradually. And that makes going to your 9 to 5 feel a little better because you have those hobbies outside of that. And last here, to align yourself or your career with your passion is purposeful networking. The ladies that are on this panel today is a perfect example of that. We meet every Monday. We met 3 months ago. They are my accountability partners. We are each other accountability partners. We're all in different fields, but we pour into each other every Monday. We ask, how's your week? What's working? What's not working? What is your plan of action? And then we help each other stay accountable. If you have a specific interest, find others with that same interest, connect with them, and leverage relationships, and you will feel much better and more fulfilled. So one more point, have an action plan. If you recognize you're that person standing at the road and there are different paths, is it the path of the same day to day that is stressing you out? There's another path to your left that is your passion, your purpose. Where do you want to go? And if you feel like you want to make a move and not be stuck, reflect, analyze what are the things that will satisfy you? What are the things that are not satisfying you? Develop your skills strategically where there are gaps, and also initiate a passion project. Launch that side project, that side hustle, while connecting with industry professionals, and continue to grow. You cannot stay stuck. That's not a good place to be. So, as I mentioned earlier, I am a professional development expert. I've been in my field for over 20 years. I've done professional development for some of the largest corporations in the world. I've helped to build out their learning and development programs. I also work one-on-one and help people with small businesses create master classes and programs that are engaging so that they're really pouring into the participants that are coming their way. And lastly, I specialize in career development. So if there's anything that I can do to help, feel free to, reach out and we can schedule a consultation and talk about your career and your plans. Again, I do resumes, prep folks for interviewing skills, and also kind of coach and take individuals on a journey. So I work with them, find out what they're passionate about. And another thing is, I hear a lot of people say, well, I can't get that job just yet because that job description of the position I'm looking for, I'm qualified. I see 5 things that I'm really good at, but they're asking for the other 3 things. I have never applied for a job where all of the qualifications that they're asking for, wanting, and needing, I had. I looked and I said, you know what? I have 90% of this. There are 10% of things that they're wanting that I don't have, but I'm going to go for it anyway because once you start a job, they train you, you'll learn. There were some stats that showed men are more likely to go for a job that they don't meet all the qualifications for, and they'll just go for it. Women feel like they need to check all of the boxes. And if there's one thing missing, I may not be qualified. You want to stretch yourself. You want to get into a position where you may not be fully there yet, but once you get in, you're going to learn it. And that's how you grow. So the last thing I have to say before we open up the Q&A is, focus on what are the things that are holding you back, whether it's your career, whether it's mental health, whether it's, wanting to purchase your home, whether it's just your health and wellness overall, and take action steps towards it. Learn more about it, build your skills, take on that passion project. And last, just commit. So I want everyone today to commit to one small thing that will take you in this right direction. Take another step. Don't stay where you are. Continue to grow. And I'm going to start with Tanisha. How can folks get in touch with you?
You can contact me at realestatemavent@gmail.com. Real Estate Maven T on Instagram. I'm not sure if I should throw out my telephone number. I feel like just putting out a telephone number is kind of weird. But yeah, that's how you can get in contact with me. And if you're not based in New Jersey, but you have some real estate questions in the state that you're in, I'm always happy to refer you. We have I have a couple contacts in a few different states. So just let me know and I'm more than happy to help.
So we're going to move on to Indea to share her contact information. You guys take it from here.
Okay, so again, my name is Indea. I am a family nurse practitioner. My social media handles are at Contort FNP. So at Contort FNP. So Contort Family Nurse Practitioner. And it's across all social media handles.
Hey everyone, so my name is Benita Jackson. The best way to reach me right now is just through Instagram or Facebook. My name, Benita72 on Instagram, and then Facebook, Benita Jackson. Um, that's the easiest way to reach me right now. I'm still working for a company. The ladies know that are part of the accountability group that my plan is to be a snowbird. I will not be in New York in the winter. I will be in South Carolina and somewhere international. So I'm not trying to do too much right now until I get settled into that. But feel free to reach out with any questions, any suggestions, and thank you all for what you do.